No way, really? Wow. Hey. What's up, guys? Hope you're having a wonderful day. So today, very quick, let's talk Linux video here. Windows 11, a spyware machine out of users' control. More and more of these types of articles are popping up. A lot of Linux YouTubers have already made videos on this topic as well. And one of the main things for switching to Linux is actually because of privacy concerns. So a lot of people, they say, okay, well, I'm not really locked into the Microsoft, sort of atmosphere. And they say, well, then we'll just move over to Linux because of all of this nonsense. So let's have a read and see what this article says. This is an article from TechSpot. What did that button do? Oh, I don't know. What did that button do? It did something. Okay, anyways, so Microsoft latest OS starts collecting telemetry as soon as the boot process ends. Okay. TechSpot is about to celebrate its... Blah, blah, blah. Cool. So, for the past few years, Microsoft has been accused of regularly violating users' privacy. In some cases, they haven't just been accused. In some cases, I believe, if I remember correctly, although you'll have to check me on this, they have actually been fined and found, like, guilty to some extent. So compared to the older systems of the NT-based systems, Windows 10 and especially Windows 11 are two completely different beasts. So yeah, a lot of people are actually still using Windows 7 because of all of this privacy nonsense on Windows 10 and 11. So those people might want to consider moving over to Linux as well. Yeah, it's bad. Anyways, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We can read the article and discuss a little bit, a few things from it. But yeah, how much data is a Windows operating system sending to online servers? According to a recent video from the PC security channel, TPCSC, that's a mouthful, the most up-to-date version of the Redmond OS is a real talker when it comes to the telemetry and other data about users' preferences and online behavior. Now, in some cases, we understand why they need some of this data. It is to improve the OS itself, okay? But online behavior, I don't really see how they can use that to improve the, the operating system. But user preferences and all those types of things, they could actually use. If they see that the majority of users are using like performance optimized preferences, then they might, in the next iteration or the next update, they might bring out some performance improvements because they obviously, if more and more people go and set things to performance, they obviously feel things are sluggish. So, that can really help. So, but online behavior, why would your OS company need to know what you do online? I don't know. Actually, I do. It's ads. It's all ads. It's all ads. Anyways, titled, Has Windows Become Spyware? The video describes how the capture sessions show online communication between Windows and external servers. The video creator used Wireshark. Now, Wireshark I used many, many moons ago. Apparently, it's improved quite a bit. When I say many, many moons ago, I mean like when I was grade 8 or 9. Long time ago. But you would be surprised how much network activity there is on your network, your little home network. You think, okay, TV's off, cell phones, maybe one or two cell phones are connected to the Wi-Fi, your computer's on, maybe a laptop, but there shouldn't be much going on. Nobody's streaming anything, nobody's like downloading anything. You think, there's hardly anything going on. But if you have a look at Wireshark, there are packets being sent backwards and forwards, flying all over the place. So yeah, definitely give Wireshark a go if you are curious as to what's going on your network. So yeah, they used it to analyze the network and they've determined that there is a lot of stuff going on. Using Wireshark to check what a freshly installed copy of Windows 11 was doing on a brand new laptop. So that eliminates any sort of malware or, viruses, anything like that phoning home. That's just a clean install on a new laptop. They said it was eye-opening. to say the least. Just after the first boot, Windows 11 was quick to try and reach third-party servers with absolutely no prior user or permission or intervention. Now, this is an important statement. This statement, I believe, will have the biggest repercussions out of probably anything that has been said here, because at the end of the day, our permission, our consent to these types of things is what we need. And what the companies need. Okay, that is what we're trying to protect. A lot of people would be like, yeah, sure, by all means, take X and Y from me, if it's going to help make my user experience better, by all means, take it, But this statement right here, I really hope that whoever did this study or this experiment actually read through all the tons and tons of license agreements and all the, legal agreements, privacy policies, all that stuff that you agree to while you install software. I hope they read through all of that for the Windows 11 install, and they've determined that in none of those things you have given the permission for these things to go out, because that is what this statement is essentially saying. Okay, there is also something about these long-winded license agreements. In some cases, in some courts, in some jurisdictions, they actually don't, see that in a high regard. So the user agreed to like a 700-page agreement, and on page, 567, it said that they can use the data. A court also looks at how realistic it is. Like, is a end user who is not a technical person necessarily, or not a legal person, actually going to be able to read that document and understand it fully, and then know exactly what they are getting themselves into? That is, a lot of courts do consider that, and a lot of them say no. Your average person who agrees to these terms will not fully understand what they're getting themselves into, and will not actually read it. You won't actually scroll through and read it word for word and try and make sense of what's happening. Some programs try to mitigate that by forcing you to scroll all the way down in the agreement and then only allowing you to click next or accept or agree. I've seen others where they actually force you to take a certain amount of time as well as be scrolled down all the way, so that there's a higher chance of you have actually read it. But we all know most of these you can just click agree or accept and just move on. We don't want to read through all of this legal jargon to get there. So this statement right here, super, super important. And at the end of the day, I feel like those agreements also are going to be called into question if any of this stuff ever goes to court. Is it in the agreement? Is there a shortened version of the agreement that's easier to understand, that the user can see, things like that. So anyways, here's the video. We're not going to watch it right now. You guys can go and check it out. I'm sure if you Google it, it's the PC security channel, you will find it. So anyways, here's how they did it using Wireshark. By using a Wireshark filter to analyze DNS traffic, they found that Windows 11 was connecting to many online services provided by Microsoft. Now that makes sense, right? That actually makes sense. And having the ability to search something on the web using Bing or whatever search engine you're using from your taskbar is actually very convenient. So that makes sense, that makes sense. But here comes the kicker, right? Many third-party services were present as well. Okay, this is what I think most people will have the problem with, is these third-party, your information going out to third parties. That's the issue. So let's see here. They say, as Windows 11 had seemingly important things to say to the likes of Steam, McAfee, and ComScore, scorecardresearch.com, which is a market research effort that studies and reports on internet trends and behavior. Now, all of these things are important for advertising, for other people to make money off of the user, okay? And that is, for me, that is the problem. Ads have, ads are famous for playing on your emotions, trying to get you to buy stuff that you don't need. Some of them even play on your self-esteem and make you feel like you'll be worthless if you don't buy this product, or make you feel like you won't be accepted into society if you don't buy this product. So ads has a bad track record, um, for trying to sell you stuff you don't need, trying to sell you stuff that is potentially hazardous to you, and just making as much money as possible from you as the end user. Sure, there are a couple of companies with some good ads and they got good products that's just there to help you out, but those are becoming more and more far and few. So, anyways, that's going to be a huge issue there. Those third parties and Steam, I don't know if Valve has an agreement with Microsoft to get this data somehow, but they need to step up and they need to, because a lot of us, even on Linux, a lot of us do use Steam, okay? And this is already like, ticking us off a little bit, the fact that Steam is mentioned here. McAfee, if you still use McAfee, yeah. And then that one, like, first time I've heard of it, to be honest. So many of the Windows 11 initial DNS queries were designed to provide telemetry data to market research companies. There we go, market research companies, advertising providers, and even geolocation-related domains like geo.prod.do or do, with no permission or web browsing activity needed. So you don't even need to open Mozilla or Edge or Chrome or whatever the case may be. You don't even need to open that. They're sending this data, this type of telemetry data and like web browsing and whatnot, activities and stuff, they're sending that already, regardless. And again, they are just trying to make money. So keep in mind, a lot of people feel like, oh, my privacy is being invaded. They're not worried about what you are, doing in your spare time or who you're chatting to. They just worried about how can they make money off of you. How can they target ads to you from the big companies who pay a lot in advertising? That's literally all they want. Money is what they want. So nobody's going to try, well, none of these companies anyway is going to try and blackmail you per se or anything like that. It's all just about advertising and getting you to buy stuff that you do not want. So that being said, rant over. Let's carry on. That's kind of shocking that you don't even need to open a browser for this to happen. The latest and greatest in the Windows line of operating system is seemingly designed to, quote, spy on anyone and everything from the get-go. That this channel suggests. As a comparison, or perhaps as a critical note about the current state of privacy in the Windows ecosystem, the YouTube channel tried the same packet sniffing activity via Wireshark on Windows XP. Now, why did they choose Windows XP? I don't know. Maybe because it was such a stable operating system. It was supported for probably the longest time than any other Windows operating system that I'm aware of. Please correct me if I'm wrong, though. But it was just such a solid OS. And so many people loved using it. And a lot of people still use it today. A lot of companies still use it today because if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. So it kind of makes sense going with XP. Although Windows 7 would have been a close second coming in there to do a test on that. So Windows XP, as you probably would have thought, doesn't even know what telemetry is. It sends out hardly any information, just queries. Windows Update really, so it'll send things like your motherboard, like your hardware specifications, just so that it can grab the correct updates from Windows Update. And that's about it. No browsing, habits or anything like that. No advertising IDs or, anything like that. It's just what you need for the computer to run. So, that being said, if you are thinking of moving away from Windows, there's a few things that you need to absolutely consider. And those things are, gaming, although it's a hell of a lot better, gaming on Linux than it was like 10 years ago, it's a hell of a lot better right now. There's still some issues with some anti-cheat games, Fortnite, Warzone, things like that. Although Apex does work, but it could break, so it's good, but it's not perfect. It's getting there. It's getting better. Gaming. The other side is pretty much sorted. For the most part, your office requirements are sorted. You can get away with even open source software. You can make sure that its formats and things are compatible. That's almost 100% perfect. So from the office side of things, there's many different email clients you can use that works wonderfully. You can still use the Microsoft Office 365 online stuff if that does what you need it to do. That runs on your browser, so it doesn't really care what the operating system is. So for the most part, you can actually move over to Linux with hardly any issues, besides gaming, here and there, as well as like graphics design. The Adobe Suite not running nicely. Some people do get it running using like Wine and like it's convoluted, but there's no just quick way to just install it, run it, and it works. So you might want to look at open source alternatives to the Adobe Suite. There's a lot of them. So depending on how high level you're working at with that could be something. But if you're working like in a very high-end sort of production environment, probably not for you just yet. The open source stuff is good, but it's not quite there yet with Adobe. And then, yeah, other than that, usability is easy. Linux Mint, as an example, has pretty much, it's been designed to be an easy transition over from Windows. The buttons are in the same places. The settings is easy to find. Drivers are easy to maintain. So, yeah, I would say if you're not gaming those specific sort of niche games that uses those anti-cheats, and you feel like moving over to Linux, give it a shot. Or if you don't game at all, give Linux a shot. It really is becoming on par with most of your Windows use case situations at the moment. And one more thing I want to show you just is the fact that this article exists. WindowsCentral.com has an article here, how to disable annoying ads on Windows 11. The fact that this exists, to me, is already just a shocker. It is a big shocker. Now, I know this video is getting long. If you're still watching, thank you so much for sitting through all my ramblings and everything. I could have made it a hell of a lot shorter, I guess. But this is something I'm passionate about, as this is one of the main reasons why I've moved over to Linux. And yeah, that and the updates that gets forced on you all the time. And by the way, do you know why some of the updates gets forced on you all the time, where they basically bug the crap out of you until you update it? It is normally for ads, because they've changed something and they need to push ads more effectively to you. There we go. So, anywho's, there we go. An article on how to get it to stop from Windows Central. You can go and Google that again if you need to use it. But I can tell you now, this was from November last year. Things have probably already changed. Menus have probably already changed to the extent that you won't be able to follow this guide. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not going to test it, but I know they do like to change stuff because they don't want you to change these things. They see these articles pop up and they're like, okay, well, let's change the menus around. Let's make it more difficult to get there. Even some of Christus Tech, who made the Windows debloating tool, he needs to keep updating that on a regular basis as well, because certain things break with new Windows updates, because they don't like people doing those types of stuff. But hey, that's it from me. If you have watched this far, I thank you so much. Please do leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you feel like it, if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. This was one of my longer videos, and I thank you for your patience and thank you for listening. Cheers. Bye.